Okay, let's welcome Professor Şevket to make his case presentation on the advantage of Pronavi in retrograde passage of Epicardial Collaterals. Welcome. Let's welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Ella. So
Okay,
I want to share my screen first,
okay.
and
You can share your
then
screen.
I am looking for my presentation. This is my presentation, and just go to the slide presentation. Oh, this one here. I'm coming. It's coming. So, okay, just move this a bit. Okay, so now I'm ready. So before I begin with my speech, I would like to thank Rosmet for including me to this event. I have been trying Pronavi for over the last 6 months, so I am very positive regarding this new microcatheter. I have used all microcatheters, almost all microcatheters on the market, both antegrade in an antegrade manner and retrograde manner. There is one point which is advantageous for this microcatheter I will mention later during my talk. So I have to skip this. Just okay. So turnpike spiral, turnpike bolt, tortuous are only for antegrade usage with maximum possibility features. Of course, I used also Pronavi for antegrade purposes many times. However, our topic is retrograde, and I want to share with you my experience regarding this Pronavi new microcatheter. Mostly we prefer septal collaterals for retrograde passage because of safety reasons. When you use septal collaterals in retrograde approach, then you need, in most cases, trackability rather than pushability, which means low profile braided microcatheters. Sometimes you may encounter difficulties with coil channel dilators such as Mambaflex, Corsair Pro XS, Corsair Pro, Turnpike LP. Then you switch to a braided low profile micro like Caravel or Fine Cross. And Salvatore has shown us even Caravel didn't work. So the Pronavi is such a low profile micro, one can choose in very tortuous septal collaterals if you encounter a problem with channel dilators. So I am not going to be a boring guy, so I'm going to introduce you my case. So this is an RCA osteal CTO with problematic antegrade guiding catheter engagement. You can see here how easily the antegrade guiding catheter is disengaged. It is a clear indication, at least for me, that a retrograde approach is needed. You see here the interventional collaterals. These seems to be very juicy septal collaterals. And on the right panel, you can see that this slippery Pronavi 150 is coming and engaging this septal collateral nicely. Trying to understand the anatomy, here we have done a contrast injection. No problem during the contrast injection. It provides good contrast to the septals. And then here is the Pronavi, and here is the cyan wire. The cyan wire nicely crosses this septal, and it has landed in the posterior lateral artery of the RCA. So even with weak support of the guiding, you see the guiding catheter is engaging from the left main ostium. However, we were able to push this microcatheter across the collateral and dip tip ejection. Here you see we are on the right path, and we are in the PDA here, and we cross the lesion easily. So we are trying to reach the distal cap. This is again the Sion wire, and the Sion wire is now going here into the distal cap, and you see our antegrade guiding catheter is disengaged. So we needed a retrograde approach somehow, and a tip injection from the Pronavi 150 again to understand the distal cap of the anatomy. So the trackability is good. You can give contrast, and the microcatheter has the features that I look for from a microcatheter. So then antegrade vessel preparation is usually needed in retrograde approach. We try to stabilize the RCA guiding with the fine cross. This is the fine cross, and a Gaia 3 to anchor somewhere. But during that process, we were lucky that this Gaia 3 went into the true lumen. But we retrieved the Pronavi a bit, and made it, but lack of support and a lot of calcification, this fine cross couldn't go down the artery. And you see, this is the confirmation that we followed the course of the collateral. This is the confirmation that our Gaia 3 is in the Pronavi. This is a fine cross. This is the Gaia 3. This is the Pronavi. And this Pronavi, we couldn't go upwards with this Pronavi into the RCA, into the proximal RCA, because the support of both ends were weak. So that was the reason why we couldn't go up this artery. And a small profile balloon, we could do that here. A small profile balloon was not crossable antegrade, but it was possible again. This is the gladius. With gladius, we went first into the aorta here. You will see, and we are in the aorta, and then with this gladius wire, we went into the guiding catheter. Retrograde. The gladius was pinned with a trap balloon here, and then you see here this Pronavi microcatheter. The Pronavi microcatheter here, it jumped. You see, it jumped. So I pinned this with a trapping balloon, gladius, and it will jump here. And it jumped and moved the Gaia 3. So if you have good support, then this microcatheter, you can do everything, even with calcified lesions. So now we are almost there here at the proximal part of the guiding catheter. Then, and then we went into the guiding catheter, this RCUC. This is the Pronavi again. It followed the wire, and here is our trapping balloon. And then we retrieved the gladius. The gladius wire is retrieved here. And an externalization was done with, you see the gladius out, and the externalization was done with the R350 centimeter long externalization wire. The wire was externalized from the opposite axis side. The rest, all you know. First, ballooning, you see here. After ballooning, we did IVUS. And the IVUS showed us a 3.5 proximal luminal diameter of the proximal RCA. So we went with the 3.0 stent at the distal part, and the rest was done with 2.5 and 4.0 balloon post dilation. And you see, here is the end result. No branch loss, and this part has negative remodeling detected by IVUS. So this part will grow, and we have edge dissection, dissection, but this is also benign according to the IVUS. And we retrieved very easily the R350 and the Pronavi, you see, and here is the end result of our case. This will grow in the future. So we have our exhausted Pronavi here lying on the table after drawing this beautiful heart shape of my patient. You see here, I have to add this one here. You see, this is the nice shape of the heart, which did Pronavi. So I have to say something about the features of the Pronavi. Just let this go away. So I'm now better. And there are two tip designs from a construction point of view. I was able to use the two Pronavi microcatheters which are not tapered. You see this one, I have the chance to use this one and the other one, and Dennis assured me that he will be provided with the lobe with the tapered profile microcatheter, I will be happy to use them also. Taking into account the design and construction, there are 4 microcatheters available apart from Pronavi. We should compare, we can compare. And these microcatheters, they are not for rotation and they are kink resistant. One advance them in a linear direction by applying constant pressure. One should not rotate caravel, it's breakable. I have break a lot of caravels. In contrast, you can rotate Pronavi to some degree to increase pushability. Tip profiles and anti-profiles are somewhat similar. I don't have any benchmark tests comparing all these 4 braided tube microcatheters, but I can say, if it is a say in my experience, Pronavi definitely works. So when it comes to epicardial collaterals, my preference switches between micros with inner coils, like Corsair Pro XS, Mamba Flex, Turnpike LP, or micros with braids, like Caravel. There is one important issue with the epicardial collaterals, because they are very tortuous and long. The microcatheters fell short and may not reach the antegrade guide, as Salvatore has shown us in his epicardial retrograde case. We have recently published an article indicating radial approach is better in terms of access site complications. Galassi has written an editorial about our article on the same issue. Most expert operators use the radial approach in CTO PCI as the default access site, and in my approach, radial approach is also my default access site. In our era, people are getting bigger in terms of body mass index and with longer arms. The guiding catheter is usually shortened in epicardial collateral passages to gain extra length in favor of the microcatheter. If you do that with radial approach and go to distal radial approach even, your guiding catheter may not reach the ostium of the target artery. If you don't shorten the guide, then your micro will fall short. I have seen expert operators during live cases calling out for companies that they should manufacture longer microcatheters. In this regard, the Pronavi 162 centimeter long micro is unique with its length. So this is my second and last case. Left distal radial approach, big guy. We shortened the guiding catheter and couldn't reach out to the left bench, so we proceeded with out guiding shortening. This is a diagonal CTO, ambiguous cap. Diagonal saphen is occluded, and the only option is this epicardial, this long tortuous epicardial from the distal LAD. So first integrating the collateral tortuosity by contrast injection. This is a Pronavi 162, and at that time I was very happy that we had that on the shelf. And this is the contrast injection, and you see how bad our support here is, the disengagement of the guiding catheter, and even the wire was not able to go because we have here bad support. So the disengagement was obvious. We anchored, this is an anchor balloon on the CX, and with this side, with this branch anchoring, we were able to go with this Samurai RC into the distal cap of the you see, this is a real-time passage, and now with this anchor we were more safe and we were able to reach the distal cap of the CTO, of the diagonal CTO. But then comes the issue with the tracking. You see how nicely this Pronavi 162, even it's long, if the microcatheter goes longer, then the pushability decreases. So, but in this regard, I had no trouble. And you see here, the microcatheter went very slowly but surely at the very end of this collateral and at the distal cap. So this was very hard for us. This is a pilot 200. Now we are at the distal cap, and this wire goes into the saphenous graft. You see, it's going prolapsing in the saphenous graft. So we made a dissection before the anastomosis and drive the Pronavi into the supraintimal space. You see now the wire will buckle. Yes, now we are in the architecture of the diagonal, and then you see how this micro will follow and enter the distal cap even into the supraintimal space here, even into the architecture. So here comes again, this is the Pronavi, and this is the gladius this time, and this is calcification. This is not a stand, and we crossed the distal cap, and now we are in the CTO, and we were able to cross with this gladius into the aorta. But the problem here is even this long 132 centimeter long Pronavi microcatheter couldn't reach this ostium. We have length issues. So what we did was this. Come on, 22. Yeah. We first got with this gladius into the retrograde guiding catheter, you will see coming, and then you see here, and then made a tip-in. This is another microcatheter. We made a tip-in into the microcatheter and then pushed this microcatheter over this gladius wire and close this gap between this microcatheter and Pronavi. You see it will come, it's coming. The microcatheter is coming, it will come. It takes time because we have a lot of calcification here. You see now we switched the system from retrograde to antegrade, and the rest, you know, I won't bother you with ballooning and standing. You see, this is the diagonal we were after for, and you see from a different point of view, this is the diagonal. We standed also the left main, and we made here bifurcation, the intervention, and this is how we managed this case thanks to this long Pronavi 162. And in summary, briefly, I can conclude that in septal collaterals, Pronavi can be a good choice when high-profile channel dilators can't cross. Usually, in Europe, what I have seen in Europe and in other parts, expert operators switch to a caravel. But from my experience, I have used caravel a lot. Pronavi is a good alternative to caravel in that sense. And Salvatore has shown us that the caravel didn't work and Pronavi got through easily. And in epicardial collaterals, Pronavi is unique. Epicardial collaterals, and if you use the radial approach, you need longer microcatheters. And in that sense, Pronavi is unique with its 162 centimeter length. So thank you for your attention. And I hope I made also Ella smiling.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Şevket. Thank you for your very dedicated presentation.